Yep.
Yeah, what's going on? Do you take it that, Catholicism is contradictory?
Well, are you a Catholic?
Yeah.
I guess it depends what you mean by that, but I have many problems with Catholicism.
Oh, let's hear a couple.
Well, I think the Trinity is three gods.
Okay. You take it that there's three gods in virtue of what?
In virtue of there's three individuals who are called God and they're distinct from each other.
Okay, yeah, I don't understand how that entails three gods though. Right, because we can count God by the substance, right, insofar as you can count God by, the divine nature. And it would just trivially entail that there's one, right, but then there would just be three underlying realities of rational nature there, such that those can, you can call them God insofar as you can be a reference towards the hypostases, because God trivially isn't a univocal notion. But when we talk about there being one God, we're just in reference towards the divine nature.
Yeah, well, each divine person is also called God, and by the normal way in which we count, which is by identity, they would count as three gods.
Well, but I already explained this. Like when we call the person God, the term God isn't a univocal notion. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, I do, but that doesn't change anything.
Okay.
I'm talking
so that's just to say that when we talk about God,
I'm talking about the way we count.
Mm-hmm, we count God by the essence.
Okay, so how many human essences are there?
Yeah, there's one essence.
So how many humans are there?
Yeah, there's a bunch of humans. The reason for that is just there's obviously a relevant symmetry breaker, which is just that humans have spatio-temporal aspects, such that you can have multiple instantiations where they're spatio-temporal, such that they can be separated across time and space. But we don't take it to be the case that the divine essence, insofar as the hypostases, are going to be the type of things which are separated across time and space. But in regards to the persons being called God, I'm not done speaking. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Having the same essence is not sufficient for counting as one.
It's sufficient for counting as one if the relevant distinctions aren't the kind of distinctions where they're spatio-temporal and they're separate in regards to.
It's not sufficient. You're adding.
No, they're sufficient if it's the case.
No, you're saying if, meaning you're adding additional criteria. So if they're not spatially or temporally distinct, then they count as one.
Yeah.
Okay. Are the persons themselves spatially or temporally distinct?
Are the persons themselves in regards to what?
In regards to them as persons.
In regards, I don't take it that the distinction in spatio-temporal aspects is going to be in reference towards the persons. I take it that that's in reference towards the nature. And I take it that the divine nature isn't spatio-temporally distinct. But the person of the Son can be distinct insofar as qua the human nature. Right? This is trivial distinctions. No, but also, I want to get back to the point in regards to
divine persons. Are they spatially or temporally distinct?
Yeah.
They are?
Yeah, the person of the Son is spatially and temporally distinct.
From the Father?
Yep.
Oh, where do you get this from?
Yeah, because the person of the Son has temporal predication. Right? This is trivial. The person of the Son, qua the human essence, has...
I didn't ask you qua the human essence. I'm talking about from eternity past.
Yeah, he has spatio-temporal distinction.
Okay, good. Show me where Catholicism teaches that.
Yeah, because Jesus, when he's on earth, presumably he's going to,
I didn't ask anything about on earth. I said eternally in the past.
I don't know what the eternally in the past talk is doing here. You're just asking me about if it's the case that they have spatio-temporal distinctions. The answer is trivially yes, and the reason for that is just because when the person of the Son... Yeah, I'm not done talking, and you interrupt me. Like, let's not do this thing where we interrupt each other. Right? Just give me like 30 seconds to get the idea.
Answering the question.
I am. Just give me 30 seconds.
Same thing like 3 different times.
Yeah, just give me 30 seconds to get the idea out. So the reason why they're spatially and temporally distinct, right, is just because the person of the Son came down on earth, right? It's trivial. He's going to occupy a distinct spatial location, right, when he's on earth, trivially, okay? The Father and the Spirit don't occupy the same spatial location as the person of the Son, because the person of the Son occupies that location qua the human essence. Right? But what I want you to do is...
I didn't ask that. I asked you, in eternity past, prior to the Son becoming incarnate, were they spatially temporally distinct?
Oh, prior to the Son becoming incarnate? No.
Okay, good. So then in the past, when they weren't spatially temporally distinct, how many persons were they?
Yeah, there were still 3 persons.
So there were still 3 persons. So not being spatially temporally distinct is not sufficient for counting as one.
Wait, repeat that.
Not being temporally or spatially distinct is insufficient for counting as one in a particular category.
Wait, yeah, what? I can sign off on that. Not being spatially and temporally distinct is insufficient for one in a particular category in regards to personhood. Yeah.
For them being one God before.
Wait, but I already explained the relevant distinction.
Now, when it comes to the persons, it's insufficient. So you don't have a consistent way of counting.
I already explained the relevant distinction because obviously when we embed these concepts, we're talking about in regards to essences. The relevant distinction is that personhood presumably is going to have separate properties than essences, where you can have relations insofar as hypostatic relations, right? And the hypostatic relations are going to be the type of things which make the persons distinct, but it's not going to be the type of thing where they make the divine essence distinct, right? So obviously not being spatially and temporally extended is the type of thing which is sufficient in regards to essences, but it's not going to be the type of thing which is sufficient in regards to persons, right? But what I want you to do is actually respond to the burden on this table, which is I'm going to give you a very easy burden, which is just to give me the proposition in its direct negation is entailed. Presumably you want to say it is the case there's one God and it's not the case there's one God, and to give me the sound argument and show the derivation relation.
Yeah, today we count F's by one, logical subjects that are two, discernible from, or at least not identical to one another, and are F. That is, if X and Y, Father and Son, differ in any way and are both F-ish God, we count them as two F's. That's the normal way in which we would count.
Yeah, but you understand that the Trinity doesn't use that counting method?
And I'm saying that that's the normal way in which I count, and that's the normal way in which we count today.
Wait, but if the Trinity doesn't use that counting method, then it's not actually a contradiction. I'm not finished talking.
The Trinity doesn't.
Don't do this thing where you interrupt, right? But look, if the Trinity in regards to
just like a snotty little kid, you're not going to keep talking that way.